Hello and welcome to Breakthroughs with Bree, where we are discussing all the topics that create extraordinary breakthroughs in our personal and spiritual development journeys. I'm Bree, otherwise known as Healing with Bree, and I'm a spiritual coach and Akashic Records channelers who helps sensitives and intuitives connect more deeply with their hearts, intuition, and souls, and teaches people how to process and alchemize the fears and beliefs that hold them back from living in their authenticity and purpose. You're in the right place if you like to hear about spirituality, psychology, healing, consciousness, manifestation, developing your spiritual and intuitive gifts, and living from your heart and soul instead of from your fears and ego. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Breakthroughs with Bree. Today we have our monthly energy forecast episode, which I know is a crowd favorite, and I love doing it too. I got all connected into the Akashic Records, which is the records of everything. So I'm plugged into the Akashic Record Keepers. They're going to help give their perspective and 2 cents on the energy that we can expect for the month of February. Now, I'm using the tarot to help pull through some of these messages and have this conversation with the Akashic Record Guides. So I have a tarot spread that I've already pulled that I'm going to be talking about, and then pulling through any other sort of like channeled messages about the month. And really the intention for this episode is that we be able to get a little sneak peek, we get a little heads up for the sake of being able to move through the energy really mindfully and with a sense of empowerment, and maybe with a little guidance on how we can move through the energies with the most ease, and ultimately also come out feeling like we got the most out of what this month has to offer us. So here's the spread that we have for the February energy forecast. Let's just jump right in. The first card that we have is the theme of the month. Okay. And then I did a 3-card spread that's going to represent sort of like the arc of the energy through the month, just for the collective, right? Under that umbrella of the theme, but still kind of like, what's the cadence? Like, what's the flow of how everything is going to move through February? And then I did a 3-card spread that's like the Akashic Record Keepers and the guides message to you. And this message is about, okay, what are you learning to release? What are you learning to embody a little bit more of? You're really practicing this month, or they recommend that you practice more this month. And what do you have the opportunity to gain by doing those things? And that is a really fun spread. So the theme of the month is the 4 of Pentacles. This is a really interesting card, and with other cards I can see here, there's a lot of talk of abundance. This is probably physical abundance, whether that be financially through prosperity. This might be an abundance of your health. This might be abundance of some sort of like material sense of, safety or support or whatever. The pentacles are the suit of our material type of existence, which again includes our bodies, our health, our home, as well as income, and tends to be tied to our career for that same reason. The 4 of Pentacles is a story of us kind of grappling with a little bit of a scarcity mindset when the universe is trying to bring us more opportunities. In the original artwork that's on the card on the Rider-Waite deck, it's somebody who has 3 cups, and the universe is literally popping out a hand to hand us a 4th, and like the person's crossing their arms like, no, I've just got my 3. And the story that tells us is that there's a part of us that has some fear about us being able to take on or handle or be worthy of more, right? We have our 3, and maybe our vision is kind of clouded. Maybe we kind of have blinders on, thinking that's all that we are going to be able to get, and we are not even sensing or seeing other opportunities that want to come through. Or maybe we feel like that we have to clutch or hold on to the 3 that we have, and because we're so focused on this grippy, scarce energy, again, we're not seeing, we're not open, we're not letting things flow, which include new opportunities to flow in. So it feels like the energy of this month is kind of twofold. One, it feels like new opportunities, especially materially, want to come through. Like there wants to be a sense of abundance. There wants to be sort of like a breakthrough in our material life, but we have to attune our nervous systems and attune our mindsets to even be able to see and receive them in the first place. And that is working through a little bit of that scarcity mindset, that scarcity energy versus abundance energy. If this is a new concept for you, or you just want a little bit of a refresher, scarcity energy is when we feel like there's a limited number of resources or of something that we need. So we find ourselves thinking things like there's not enough, or this, I'm being too much about this, or we have to be in competition, we have to be jealous. And really this is all coming from fear. And when we're in fear energy, that's a cue that our ego mind is running the ship, and that it's using its powers of deduction and its critical thinking to lead the show. But what we know when the ego is leading the show is that we're limited because our soul is what's designed to lead the show and our ego is meant to assist, right? Our ego mind is only ever going to be able to think in terms of survival, in terms of scarcity. And it's our soul that has the ability to bring in that more abundant perspective that, first of all, we are more than just these human bodies, right? Which our ego mind exists on this human field and its purpose is to help protect our human bodies, right? Whereas when we want to have an expansive experience of growth, that's when our soul comes online to say, hey, there's more to it than this. Yes, we can stay embodied in our human experience. And yes, we need to be practical because that's the whole point of us coming down to be human is to honor and live the human experience. But we can't get caught up in it too much. We can't have the blinders on if we want to experience that real sense of expansion that sort of awakened human wants to have on the earth, which in part is recognizing that scarcity is not true. It's not true. There is an abundance of anything that we could need in this universe and really within ourselves because we create our reality. And I know that's a little bit 5D, quantum, we are, creators, manifestors, which I understand can be a little overwhelming when we're first getting into this. But the universe has created everything up until this point and can continue to create more, especially when you use your focus and you use your belief and you use your hope and you use your excitement and your inspiration towards the things that you feel excited about, that you dream about. The universe can always make more of things. And that's why in practices of manifestation, one of the big things you'll hear across many different practitioners and teachers is being diligent with your focus. Right? It's okay to have a moment where you're processing through some shadow and some fears and you're acknowledging them because you need to do that to release them and reprogram them anyway. But outside of those moments, training your brain to focus on what you want more of because your focus is creative as a human. It literally is like fuel, making that thing continue to go and expand. So apart from debunking these ideas that something in your life is scarce, it's not. And if you need to learn how it's not, that's totally fine. Go out there, seek out that information, ask your guides to bring it to you so you can learn how that thing is not in fact scarce. And then start to focus your energy, literally open your eyes, lift up your head to see how much abundance there is around you. Let your focus go towards how much of whatever it is that you want you already have on some level. Let yourself and let your body learn how to be content and fulfilled with that. Learn how to soak it up, whatever amount is present to you in whatever way you have to access it. And as you let, again, your perspective broaden and open, and you let your focus fuel that thing that wants to expand, that's when you start to tap into a more open, a more frequent, a more numerous flow of it, and where your external reality can start to reflect more of that abundance. So there's, again, this month is bringing up themes about that. Themes about what is our relationship to scarcity and what is maybe our relationship to our trust in ourselves and our understanding of our value and our worth, so that we can not only feel very grateful and feel very worthy of what we have, but be able to see and acknowledge the opportunities that the universe is trying to bring to us to bring in more abundance. And by the way, more abundance is more of an experience of ourselves and who we are. And if it has to do with maybe work opportunities or money, that's also us experiencing more service, like ourselves and whatever value we bring to the universe, like exercising that to be of service to the universe. So this abundance thing isn't just like a self-gratifying thing, which is important. Like us feeling gratified and fulfilled and like we enjoy and have pleasure in things is very important, but it's always going to be paired with more when you take this sort of soul perspective. And it feels like the universe, the guides are showing that we're kind of on a path. We have a momentum to really have to learn this lesson, and February is going to be a big place where we learn that. They're also giving me a sense, I know there's a lot changing with the US government right now. I wonder if there's going to be something that changes with our money system a little bit, with our bank system, with, I don't know, like something about like debt that we have. I wonder if there's going to be like a literal manifestation of this energy on the collective level with the government. Not something to be freaked out about. This is not me fear-mongering, but just I get a sense that maybe there might be something around that in February. Now let's talk about the arc. like the arc of the energy for the month. Where are we starting? Where are we moving through in the middle of the month? And where are we kind of landing at the end of February? So the beginning of the month, we have the Three of Pentacles. And if you're watching on video on YouTube or on Spotify, because Spotify does have video too, I'm showing the cards in the video so you get to see them too, my fun little affirmator animal deck. The second card for the month is Major Arcana 3, the Empress. And then the third card in this arc is the Eight of Wands. Okay, so let's break this down. So we're starting the month with the Three of Pentacles, which is a card that is all about collaboration and teamwork. And notice again, we have the Pentacles again right at the start of the month. We're really in our material, practical world for a big chunk of what's going on this month. Okay. The Three of Pentacles is a lovely card. It's where we start to get a little bit of progress. We start to get a little bit of momentum towards whatever like material sort of thing that we've been working to manifest or whatever. The point of the three is when things kind of start to get moving and grooving a little bit, right? And all of the cards, by the way, the second one is the Major Arcana 3, and then the Eight of Wands also has to do with movement. So it feels like we're trying to either like increase momentum or we're starting to experience momentum. Like things are starting to like get moving for us in February, which I love to see. The Three of Pentacles specifically is who is around you, and are you leveraging them for support? Are you working with the people that are around you? This is not a do it by yourself kind of energy. This is a who can I leverage to collaborate with? Who can help me? Who can I set up a team with? If I have a team around me, how can I really leverage their wisdom? How can I leverage their perspective? How can we create like a synergy between us? If that's again like in a workplace, right? Or maybe it's like I want to get out in my community a little bit more and spend time with community and bounce ideas and get inspiration off of people. Or maybe if it's things that you're trying to accomplish in your home or in your family, it's like, how can I leverage my friends and my loved ones in a way that of course is respectful, but also acknowledges like your girl needs a little bit of support, right? Like there's something about coming together with people to accomplish a task. And I'm curious how that will come together for you guys. I feel like as a collective, again, there's just going to be like a collaboration sort of energy here at the start of the month. Yeah, this also feels like it's going to be on a collective level. Again, I'm in the US, so all of this stuff happening with the US government kind of feels top of mind. And I know just with the nature of it, stuff that happens with us can kind of have a little bit of a ripple effect in the world too, for better or worse. So it feels like there's going to kind of be like people like rubbing elbows a little bit, right? Like trying to make nice, trying to work together for a common goal a little bit, which would be nice. So again, on that like kind of collective level. Now, as we move out of the Three of Pentacles, we move into the Major Arcana 3, the Empress. The Empress is the divine feminine energy. Love to see her. I feel like the divine feminine is really trying to teach us a lot this year. If you listen to my January energy forecast, which also included energy forecast for the year of 2025, I was reflecting and talking about it with a group of women later, and I realized, oh, like the divine feminine was really present in those cards and feels like she's really coming up to the surface, and she's having a very active hand in the energy of this year. So I'd love to see her pop up again in this deck here. What that means for all of us is that we might feel like we're tapping into a little bit more of, I guess it could manifest in different ways, but it's like a little bit of a softer energy in the sense that we're in our feels a little bit more. The feminine lives in the flow of her emotions and her instincts and her creativity. This does not have to be like a heavy or sad thing. Like a lot of times the feelings that want to move through us when we're unburdened are joy and our pleasure and our inspiration and our love and connection. Like it can be a really wonderful thing, but it's a little bit more on this like receptive flow and move kind of energy. The feminine and the Empress is all about what do we enjoy? What is beautiful to us? What is pleasurable to us? And connection and relationship is a big place where we can honor that and experience that, even if it's like sitting side by side with somebody who enjoys the same thing. So there's themes about that are happening. And remember, the Major Arcana, those cards have to do with like big themes, like overarching themes, whereas the Minor Arcana are a little bit more like the day-to-day life. So the Pentacles, the Wands, the Swords, and the Cups are the Minor Arcana. So those are like day-to-day things, where these Major Arcana, the ones with the big numbers, are like big themes. So the divine feminine is emerging to teach us something a little bit. We're getting a go-round in her energy to learn something. This feels, again, it feels like it's overarching. It feels like this kind of thing is going to pop up a little bit. So what is your relationship to feminine energy I think you're going to find that out and get to test that out a little bit in the middle of the month. Can you tap into flow and intuitiveness and not need to force or control or quantify things or completely understand them with the human mind? Can you kind of just trust them as they go and keep moving with it? Can you let yourself receive and do things just because they are pleasurable to you, knowing that there's a lot of purpose in that, right? Like, what is your relationship with that kind of energy? And how can you practice tapping into that a little bit more? It's the middle of the month. And then the end of the month feels like as a result of kind of where we've flowed, right? We flowed in collaboration. We flowed deep into creativity and femininity and pleasure and that receptive energy, which is so powerful, especially when we're manifesting. At the end of the month, we come into the 8 of Wands, which is the card of momentum and moving. Like, things happen quick. Things are changing, things are happening, things are moving and grooving really fast. If this was a spread that I was pulling for a client, that might indicate that things are like changing and moving. Like, maybe you're actually physically moving and it all kind of comes together, falls together really fast. Or maybe an opportunity that was kind of lagging all of a sudden comes together, right? Like, things fall into place and there's a momentum and a movement, a progression that happens with this 8 of Wands energy. And it feels like we're really going to be able to tap into that at the end of the month, especially with the way that the energy is flowing. So that's good news if you throughout the month are kind of waiting for something to happen, or you're, instead of waiting, I should say, like really letting your focus flow towards creating something to move, and you're not rushed, but you know that it's coming and boom, it falls into place at the end of the month. Feels like there's potential for that. Akashic Record Keepers and Guides, is there anything else that you want to share about the arc of the month? Yeah, I'm getting the sense that some of the things that are kind of like moving and adjusting are moving into place for the next month. So even the theme for the month is 4. And 4 is a card that has to do with stability. You could think about like the 4 corners of a house, it being like a very stable, reliable, like our foundation is set kind of energy. And the 3s are the cards that come right before that. And again, there's a little bit of like adjusting, there's moving that is inherent to that number and to these cards. It feels like things are kind of shifting so that as we move into the next month, it feels like they're ready to settle, or they're ready for that 4, kind of put down the foundations of things energy to come. There's a little bit of like things are setting up, things are being set up for you, is what I feel from them. For anybody who's feeling a little riled or a little concerned about, again, the state of the world, particularly some of this government stuff, I'm really, truly getting this feeling of like, don't worry about it. We got it. We got it figured out. Like, we got it laid out. Like, it's all going to work out okay. Like, be in your day-to-day life, be with your community. If there's an action in front of you that you can take, of course, take it. But otherwise, like, don't worry about it. Don't buy into and feed your energy into this collective brewing pot of anxiety and angst and judgment and hatred and fear and like despair. Like, don't feed your energy into that, because one, it's not necessary, and it's definitely not going to help your experience. And I just don't think like it's true. I can't tell. Like, if I was there to explain to you guys personally how it's feeling, I feel unbothered, and not in a I don't care kind of way. And it's just like an I don't need to worry about it kind of feeling. And I don't know how, I don't know why, but I trust it. And it feels like if you're feeling a little bit anxious about it, the guides have a message specifically for you. Like, don't worry about it. We got it covered. Okay. It's on the collective end. Now, here is the message for you personally through this month. The last 3 card spread that we have in terms of what is something that they want to encourage you to release, and that is the 10 of Wands. What is something that they want you to like exercise and learn to embody and tap into a little bit more this month, and that's Major Arcana 18, the Moon card. And then what is it that you're going to be able to gain, or that is ahead of you if you work with those energies? The 9 of Pentacles, which is a great card. Just a quick reminder to everybody, I do full tarot readings that you can book on my website. So I have single sessions where I do a recording of it. I send you the recording and you can get a personal energy forecast, or if there are certain things that you're really trying to figure out, like what is going on in this relationship and situation, which of these 2 paths that I'm considering should I really look into? What messages do my guides want me to hear about where I'm at now and where they want me to go? Like, those are very common questions I get in my readings. We do a full energy forecast. I lowered my prices for all of my single sessions. So the full tarot reading is $133 for that hour and that recording. And I just got a testimonial the other day that I really wanted to share with you guys. It was so wonderful. Okay, and that says, somebody told me to rewatch my reading from 3 months ago. I am truly surprised about how it all turned out. During the readings, the card said I may start something new, but I had to address my money anxiety. They also said that I was having a hard time letting something go, but when I did, I would feel and have a greater sense sense of possibility. In just 3 months since that reading, my anxiety is nearly handled. I have let go of the hardest thing ever, and I just passed an exam for a new career that is going to be life-changing. This new career is going to allow me the room to explore and more possibilities. I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much, Brie. I can't wait until we work together again. I'm like freaking out over here. I just have to say, tarot is like one of my favorite ways to pull through messages. The guides are so funny. They're so cheeky. The cards are so fun to work with. And I am like just as amazed at all of you guys. Like when a card is literally perfect for a question or something we're talking about, or when like sort of predictions or energies that they say are available actually come to pass, I'm also like nerding out with you guys about how freaking cool that is. So those opportunities are available for you here at the start of the year. If you're trying to tap into like, where should I focus my energy? How do I let go of this other thing? Like, what is the guidance for something that I'm trying to navigate on? These sessions are wonderful and a great alternative to the Akashic session, which is a little bit more of an investment. If it's just not feeling like the Akashic session is where you want to pull through information, or if you're just feeling more drawn to working with tarot, because it's really fun. You can book that on healingwithbrie.net or with the link in my show description. Okay, the message to everybody here. First of all, we've been a little overwhelmed. We've had a lot on our plate with this 10 of Wands. Okay. The picture is literally a bunch of wands. It's the 10 of Wands on a camel's back. Like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like that is the kind of moment that you're in when this card comes up. Okay. So the message here, things have been a little too much. You've been a little overwhelmed. You've been putting a little too much on your plate. You're trying to do it all and you're feeling it. Okay, this is not any sort of insult about you. This is not a character defect. This is not, oh my gosh, you did something so bad, you should feel wrong about it. Nope, not that. If you've listened to some of my previous episodes, I've really been speaking to that skill of being able to acknowledge when something's gone differently than how we want it and not immediately turn to shaming ourselves and not immediately turning to, oh, what's wrong with me? Not immediately saying, oh, I must have done something wrong. Like there must be something wrong with me that I can't figure this out or that I did it this way. No self-shame. It's not true. It's not true. We're doing our best every time. And we can honor that. And we can also say, okay, maybe I want to do it a little different in the future. And it does feel like we need to be addressing and acknowledging that whatever formula that we have for the amount of commitments that we carry, or the amount of projects that we're trying to pursue, or even just simply the amount of things that we put on our to-do list or like in our calendar, it's a little too much. It's not working. Our body is telling us like at this moment in time, it's too much. We got to make a little bit of an adjustment. Now, the energy that wants to come through to help us with this is Major Arcana 18, the Moon card. Ooh, this is a big archetypal energy. This is also a feminine energy, by the way. Whoa, having like a major arcana feminine in the middle spot of both of these spreads. Crazy. Whoa. And for the collective energy, it's a Pentacles feminine energy wands. And for this message, it's the wands feminine energy pentacles. Whoa. Whoa. I love a synchronicity. Okay. For the Moon card, we are diving into the subconscious. We're diving into our instinctual emotional needs, and we're moving through sort of intense cycles in our life, it feels like. One of the first things that comes to mind when I pull the Moon card is that there's some feelings that need to be nurtured and felt that are living in the body, and the body is where we store and we hold things kind of in that subconscious mind. And again, if you've listened to some of my episodes or know about manifesting or whatever, our life is created by our subconscious mind and its beliefs, and we're running on our subconscious beliefs and programming like 95% of the time, right? So being able to work with what's stored back there, with what our sort of like automation is as humans, because that's what it is. Our subconscious is like the automation that our brain has done to make things quicker and smoother. Attending to that and to its emotional nature, to its intuitive nature, is definitely the vibe of the Moon card, because the subconscious mind doesn't really speak in like numbers and specifics. It speaks in metaphors and imagery and feeling and energy. Right? And so us tapping into this part of ourselves and learning how to nurture that, learning how to protect that, how to kind of get in touch with a little bit of that like primal energy essence, again, because it feels like it's very embodied, is really important. So are you doing sort of somatic work where you're getting into the body? I'm even getting this image of like, women like dancing under the full moon, right? And it's a very like intuitive kind of thing. It's not like dancing for performance. It's like, how does my body just like want to move, to like open up these different places and release these different energies. And maybe it looks wild and crazy, but like it feels so satisfying. It feels so cathartic, right? When we get in our bodies and we just let it move and we stop judging it and we kind of let like that intuition take over. Not only do we get to release a lot, which is a healing, by the way, but we also become aware of a lot more, like more wisdom and insight about what's important to us, or how we really felt about a situation, or like where our power is. All of that is something we can tap into as well when we let ourselves go a little bit deeper. Akashic Record Keepers and Guides, what else do you want to share about this 10 of Wands to the Moon card? Yeah, it's kind of like get in touch with your instincts a little bit here. Sometimes our brain power gets so occupied with this like arbitrary to-do list that we've given ourselves that we're not plugged into our intuition. We're not plugged into our instincts. And that's the channel that our higher self wants to communicate to us through. So as we want and we have these goals to like move into higher timelines and manifest stuff, like we're not even receiving the directions. Our higher self is giving us like step-by-step directions to get there. We can't even hear them. We don't even know that they're there because we're so distracted by the to-do list of it all. So it's like, where can you create space to get into your body, to get into your feelings, to get into the sensations and the energy that lives in your body, and like the intuition that's trying to speak to you there? Feels like there's like a knowing or like a confidence or like a clarity that wants to come through that channel for you about what's most important or about the direction that you want to go. Because on the other side of that, what you have the opportunity to gain, what is ahead of you, is the freaking Nine of Pentacles. Okay. The Nine of Pentacles is such an abundant and fortunate card. And what's interesting too is that the Nine of Pentacles also has a divine feminine tie to it. It's got a little bit of that Empress energy in it. Specifically, it's about enjoying the fruits of your labor, enjoying the abundance that you have accumulated in your life, being plugged into your senses and into the pleasures. And again, feeling sort of like the luxury that is like being able to live your human life. Okay. So under the theme of the month, we were talking about scarcity and abundance, that Four of Pentacles. Okay. And what we're talking about and what that card talks about is like our focus gets so stuck on what we don't have and what we're overwhelmed by, 10 of Wands, that we don't allow ourselves to like really receive and see all of the opportunity and the abundance that's flowing to us all the time. And our experience can either be in that scarce way of relating to the world, or it can be relating to it abundantly. And when we relate to it abundantly, we get more and more and more of that abundant experience, versus when we relate to it in a scarce way, we experience and get more and more of the scarce stuff. It's like, which one do we want to experience? We definitely want to experience the abundance, right? So it feels like the cards are giving us the advice on this month, how we can move from that scarce perspective into this abundant perspective. So the way that it's saying that we do that is, one, we have to acknowledge that we're overwhelmed and it's taking up our capacity and it's stressing us out. We got to unload the plate a little bit, and we got to tap back into our feelings, into our intuition, into our instincts. And we got to do a little bit maybe of like some emotional shadow work there, tune into that subconscious beliefs and maybe attune to them, at the very least nurture them. And what that's going to do is that's going to free up like space in our brain. It's going to free up space in our body because we just released all of that energy, that emotional release and whatever, to focus on enjoyment, to focus on gratitude, to focus on enjoying the fruits of our labor, instead of like pushing to the future and the next goal. And what am I doing? It's look at how far I've come. Like, look at how the effort and the focus and the ingenuity and the instincts and just like the fortune of my life has led me to this moment, and all the things that I have. All of the things that I have. For a minute, look at and enjoy what you have instead of what you don't. Like literally, what do I have now that my past self worked so hard to get? What did my past self labor over, stress over? Not that you need to stress about things, but like, what did they invest their heart and their energy into so that you could have now? Is it a place that you live? Even if it's not the perfect place you want to live eventually, like, is it the way that your space looks or feels if you've decorated it? Is it that you have a little bit more support than you used to because you've been investing in making connections and friends, or maybe you've invested in getting some more support, you have a new therapist or something? Is it that you understand a topic more than you did before and you really enjoy learning learning about it? Is it that you have been, I don't know, getting more movement in, and so you feel a little bit more loose or a little bit more strong or a little bit more agile in your body? Or maybe it's been your health. Maybe you've been adjusting your food and you're enjoying the things that you eat, and it actually makes your body feel good as it gets digested and dispersed through your body, and therefore your health is improving and therefore your energy, and you can enjoy that even if you know that you want to go farther, even if you know you want it to get a little bit better. You have to learn how to focus your energy on feeling fulfilled and content and satisfied with what is in front of you right now. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. That is the way to getting more fruit. That is the way with this Four of Pentacles to be able to see the opportunities in the abundance and keep receiving it, is when you're in the energy of being so satisfied and so content and allowing yourself to take a moment and just receive like what you have now, to enjoy it, to feel pleasure in it, to feel worthy of slowing down enough to feel the pleasure of what you have right now, to throw out those, society beliefs or sort of sayings about, well, you can't stop because then you're going to like mess up the momentum going forward. Or, oh, if you get too content with now, nothing's ever going to happen. Those are so untrue. Those are so much lies of the ego and fear. I literally can't tell you. You being deeply content with now and allowing your body to relax and not clench up and just be like, oh, I'm safe. I have so many beautiful things in my life. Look at all these ways that I'm so fortunate. I'm so rich in my life right now. Like, I helped create this. I'm really proud of myself. I'm really grateful to myself. Gosh, I enjoy this. I'm just going to take a breath and just like let myself receive the experience. Like, be so present and receive the experience of this. Like, that is the energy that is waiting for you. That energy is abundant. That energy is full of ease. That energy is peaceful. That energy is inspired. That energy is connected to love and pleasure and abundance, like literally. And it feels like that's your path to getting there. That 10 of Wands addressing the overwhelm, the moon and all the things that we got to get connected with, and the 9 of Pentacles, which is us kind of shifting out of the scarcity energy of the 4 of Pentacles and being able to shift into the opportunities and into the mindset that allows us to receive them, which might be some of the moving and shaking and reorienting that the guides were talking about this month. Like, maybe for us personally on like a micro level, it's adjusting our own energy and mindset in such a way to where we actually are open energetically, and our focus and like our gaze is directed towards the things where we're going to see what wants to come in here in future months even more, right? We're going to be able to receive the abundance we've been praying for. Whereas if we didn't make some of these shifts, we might have had the blinders on and sort of blocked it, bounced it away unknowingly, unconsciously, I should say. Guides, what else do you have for the podcast listener fam about February? It feels like the energy in the middle, maybe end of the month, is going to feel a little funky. Yeah, they're saying that there's a lot of stuff happening like on the earth and even like in the solar system a little bit, that's creating these little like pulses of energy or these little currents that our bodies kind of respond to. So we might feel a little anxious, or we might not sleep well one night, or things might just like, we might feel a little bit of brain fog one day. I'm feeling like there might be a pulse of that maybe like 3/4 of the way through the month, which feels like that's why it's so important to let ourselves tap into some of the feminine energy, because the feminine energy can ride the wave, right? Like, she doesn't resist it. She doesn't judge or shame herself for it, which allows it to just move through with literally no resistance and literally just be like I always say with flow, it's kind of like being on like a floaty on a river, and wherever the river takes you, you're just like floating along, right? The feminine energy helps us do that. So if things feel a little wonky, like, again, maybe observe if your first instinct is to like judge or shame yourself or criticize yourself, because that is not healthy. That's just not true. And how can you just tap into like I don't need to judge it. I don't need to, blame it or figure out exactly why it is. I just have to accept what it is and that it is happening, and that it's also going to change and it's going to move, and it's fine. If there's like a day or two where I don't sleep that well, it's fine. I'm going to sleep well the next day, right? If there's a day where I like really wanted to get something done, but I'm feeling a little bit of a brain fog, or I'm feeling like I just need a rest, that's all right. I'll rest and then I'll get it done another day. Like, let yourself kind of have that energy. Again, I'm thinking maybe 3/4 of the way through the month, if things feel a little funky, because it's not you doing something wrong. It's just us being sensitive creatures that feel kind of currents of energy that are moving through the collective, the earth, the solar system, etc. It feels like they want to applaud us for how we are moving through January. Yeah, because even being in LA, like with the fires and again, changes in administration, and there was all the weird social media stuff that was happening. Yeah, they're going to use some terminology that like doesn't really come from them, but they know that we kind of understand. They're kind of showing me that it's almost like we're changing a lot of timelines right now. And sometimes for us to make such big leaps into different timelines or opportunities, like some funky shit happens. Like it feels like things get shaken up really weirdly. And that's what feels like is happening. It feels like we have really been, wanting to manifest like a better world, a society that really can care for each other and show maturity emotionally, spiritually, and again, can tap into the sense of abundance that's around us to take care of each other and allow us all to thrive. And that we want old systems that feel like they're not working or they're not ethical, like we're just done with them. We're done with them, And it feels like, again, in order to sort of like dismantle or to kind of like break apart stuff that was really stuck together before, like things got to get shaken up a little bit. And again, it feels like all of this is happening for us. There's purpose, there's divine design in it all. And it feels like there's a sense of like pride or like happiness from the Akashic Record Keepers and Guides about how we've navigated things that have happened in the last 30 days, like our sort of being like wise, and kind of seeing through it all. And also maybe not letting ourselves get quite as dysregulated about things as we used to. Like it's okay to kind of be like, whoa, like that's crazy, or to feel moments of empathy, but to be able to get like right back into the present moment, into our own bodies, into our own lives, and keep taking one step at a time and putting one foot in front of the other. Like that is a really balanced way of moving towards it. And it feels like we've had a crash course in moving through unprecedented times, as they say, really since 2020. Like it's just been one thing after another. And it's kind of been a classroom in learning how can I relate to these really big things happening in my world with presence and compassion without it completely disorienting or dysregulating or throwing me off my center. Like how can I still stay really empowered and at peace in my own life while acknowledging and being present for however I need to move in the world. And it feels like we've kind of turned a corner on that as a society. Like we're really coming around now to feel a way that we can do that with a little bit better of a balance. And they want to acknowledge that. Yeah, they're showing me the whole TikTok thing and they're like, yep, things are not as they seem there. Not in like, again, a fear-mongering way, but like I do feel like things changed when it came back. It's a different energy. It started to be a different energy in January. Oh, they're saying July was not a slip. It started to shift in July, and then in January kind of like things were implemented. Yeah, they're just saying just use discernment. Like we don't have to pull the wool over our eyes when we feel really grounded, when we feel really centered in our lives, when we feel really at peace, and when we feel like we don't need to be so like attached about all this other stuff going on. It's like, all right, that might be a little funky. I'll keep my eye on that. Eyes wide open. It's good. Like that kind of feels like the energy that they want us to keep in mind with some of this stuff. All right, guides. Is there anything else? They're telling me to tell you that I am going to be doing a group program soon. That's fun. I don't know what it is at the time of recording this. They're saying maybe by March, I'm going to have something that is going to start going out there. So if you like really vibe with the way that I look at the world and move through the world, one of my biggest things I work with coaching clients on is how can you learn to follow your soul energy and let that lead you, as opposed to being led by your fear and your ego energy. That does not mean rejecting fear or ego energy. It's like, how can I learn to work with it, to use the wisdom of pain and triggers, but not get caught up in them? How can I learn how to follow inspiration and follow my intuition and like really live a life that feels like it has more ease, where there's not so much pressure on myself, where I can show up in relationships lovingly without feeling so angry or resentful or like distant or like I have a wall up between people? Like how can I just feel more open-hearted and more confident in myself? And when my intuition comes up, I know what it is and I can follow it. And it feels like I'm really living in my authenticity. And when ego and fear stuff comes up, I can deal with it. I can move through it. And it doesn't feel like it controls me. That's the work that I really love to do with people. And this podcast is an extension of that. I'm sort of talking about and teaching about some of the things that help me with that. My one-on-one coaching containers are like the most intensive and customizable and sort of like intensive way that I do that. And the group programs are kind of in the middle. So if the one-on-one work is like a little bit outside of your means, or you're just not sure about like investing that much, but you still kind of want to try it out, the group coaching programs are really fun. Plus they're a wonderful way to find community and support support with other women who are just simply amazing. So keep an eye out for that. I do have a spot on my website, healingwithbrie.net, where you can get on the wait list specifically for the group program. And that list is going to be the first to hear about it. And I usually do some sort of early bird sale too. So that's a great place to be if you want to make sure you hear about it. I'm so grateful you guys were here. Let me know what you think about this forecast. I love hearing your stories about that, and really about anything, even if it's just like a weekly tarot poll that I was doing. If like, some synchronicity happens or things really come together like the cards were saying. Like I said, I love nerding out about all of that with you guys. So let me know. DM me on Instagram, send me an email. I just love being connected with you all. I'm so grateful for you all. And I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week for more breakthroughs. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Breakthroughs with Brie. But before you go, please take a moment to either rate and review the podcast on whatever platform you're listening to it, or share this episode or maybe one of your other favorites with friends or loved ones that you think might enjoy or benefit from this content. Both of those things help more than you know, so that I can keep creating these episodes to help us all have more breakthroughs. Remember, you can connect with me on social media, sign up for my email list, hear what products, services, or events that I'm currently offering, all in the link in the show description, or by visiting my website, healingwithbrie.net. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support and for the time that you're taking to heal yourself and align more with your beautiful soul, as it helps us all so much more than you realize. I'll see you all next week for more breakthroughs.